शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यां मलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम्। ॐ ध्यायेन्नित्यं महेशम् रजतगिरिनिभं चारुचन्द्रावतंसं रत्नाकल्पोज्ज्वलाङ्गम् परशुमृगवराभीतिहस्तं प्रसन्नं पद्मासीनं समन्तात् स्तुतममरगणैः व्याघ्रकृत्तिं वसानं विश्वाद्यं विश्वबीजं निखिलभयहरं पञ्चवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रम् ॐ नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्।
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत सञ्जय। श्रीभगवानुवाच क्लैब्यं मास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय्युपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। अर्जुन उवाच मदनुग्रहाय परमं गुह्यमध्यात्मसंज्ञितं यत्त्वयोक्तं वचस्तेन मोहोऽयं विगतो मम। मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यं मया द्रष्टुमिति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानमव्ययम्। श्रीभगवानुवाच न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुम् अनेनैव स्वचक्षुषा दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्। सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ततो राजन् महायोगेश्वरो हरिः दर्शयामास पार्थाय परमं रूपमैश्वरम्। दिवि सूर्यसहस्रस्य भवेद्युगपदुत्थिता यदि भासदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः। ततः स विस्मयाविष्टो हृष्टरोमा धनञ्जयः प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं कृताञ्जलिरभाषत। अर्जुन उवाच त्वमक्षरं परमं वेदितव्यं त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानं त्वमव्ययः शाश्वतधर्मगोप्ता सनातनस्त्वं पुरुषो मतो मे। अनादिमध्यान्तमनन्तवीर्यम् अनन्तबाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रं पश्यामि त्वां दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रं स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम्। द्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदं लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन्।
Very nice. Thank you, Rakesh. Very welcome, everyone. So today we are going to be reading, continuing discussion of Daiva Asuri Sampat, correct?
Yes, we finished until 1621.
Right. So we're almost at the end of the Adhyay. So the summary from what we read last time was the description of the Asuri Sampat. And verses from verse 6 onwards. So majority of what we've been reading lately is the description of the Asuri Sampat. And the main point is their inability to distinguish between pravritti and nivritti, action and inaction. And they are not pure, no observances, na achara or truth. The declaration that the world is untrue, ungrounded, and godless, nothing but lust born. And then, depending on this view, having lost their souls, equipped with puny intellects, these enemies exert themselves fiercely to destroy the world, resorting to lust insatiable, with hypocrisy, vanity, and euphoria, deludedly clinging to dogmas they work with unclean resolve, depending on endless speculation till their dissolution. Chinta, intent on the enjoyment of objects of desire. Kama upabhoga parama. And further, bound by 100 cords of hopes, given up to lust and wrath, they seek unjustly heaps of wealth to enjoy the objects of their lusts. And today I have won this, I shall fulfill that hope soon. Now this wealth again shall be mine. That foe I have slain, other foes too I shall slay. I am the mighty Lord, the enjoyer. I am all right. Siddhaha aham, balavan, sukhi, strong and happy. I am wealthy, highborn. Who is there equal to me? I sacrifice, give gifts, and make merry. So deluded by ignorance, they deem. Distracted by myriad fancies, caught in a net of delusion, chasing lustful enjoyments, they fall into unclean hell. Narak patanti narake ashuchau. Atmasambhavitaha, self-exalted, stubborn, rich, conceited, and arrogant, they hypocritically offer nominal worship. Nama yajñai, defying sacred rules. Dambena avidhi purvakam. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samshritaha. Relying on egoism, power, pride, lust, and wrath, spurning me in themselves and others. Mam atma paradeheshu pradvishantaha abhyasuyakaha. They are malicious. Those who hate and are wrathful, who are the vilest among men, Tan aham dvishataha kruran samsarishu nara adhaman. And those who are the lowest, vilest among men in this transmigratory life, in this samsara, who are impious, ashubhan, asurishu, eva yonishu, into demonic wombs, kshipami, I fling. Okay. Born in a demonic womb, deluded in repeated births, never reaching me, Arjuna, they proceed therefore to an ignoble state. Adhamam gati. Threefold is the gate of hell. This is one of the most important verses. Destructive of self. Trividham narakasya idam dwaram. Nashanam atmanaha. Kamaha krodha tatha lobhaha. Lust, wrath, and greed. Tasmad etat trayam tvaji. Therefore, one should reject these three. Release from these three doors of darkness, Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Man proceeds to what promotes his good. Thus, he proceeds to the supreme goal. And here we referred back to Ramakrishna's of Kanchana Kamini, Kamini Kanchana. Because Kama is what leads to Krodha. Then, we had not read 22 yet, Rakesh?
Yes, Professor.
So we have not read, okay.
Yeah.
In contrast, 1 to 8, 1 to 6. So, ahimsa, so starting from abhayam actually, fearlessness, mental purity, satta samshuddhi, jnana yoga vyavasthiti, persistence in practice of jnana yoga, danam, charity, damaha, sense control, yajnaha, sacrifice, swadhyayaha, study of scripture or self-study, tapa, penance, arjavam, uprightness, ahimsa, non-violence, satyam, truthfulness, akrodha, freedom from wrath, tyagaha, renunciations, shantihi, tranquility, apaisunam, absence of envy, daya, kindness to all living bhuteshu, kindness to all living beings, aloluptvam, uncovetousness, mardavam, gentleness, krihi, modesty, achapalam, dignity, absence of vain activity, tejaha, splendor, kshama, patience, dhritihi, vigor, shaucham, cleanliness, adrohaha, benevolence, na atimanita, non-haughtiness, bhavanti sampadam. These are the daivi abhijatasya bharata. So this contrast, right, is very instrumental. So we have, hopefully in this summary, we have revised in our mind the contrast, right? So let us then read 23 or 22, sorry.
एतैर्विमुक्तः कौन्तेय तमोद्वारैस्त्रिभिर्नरः आचरत्यात्मनः श्रेयः ततो याति परां गतिम्.
Etaihi, from these three. Which three? The ones listed in the previous verse. Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Vimuktaha, freed from, released from. What are they? Tamodvaraihi tribihi. The three doors of darkness. Who is Mukta Naraha? The one man, O son of Kunti. Acharati. Atmanaha Shriyaha, that which is for his own good. Tato Yati Parangatim, thus he proceeds to the supreme goal. So in Kathopanishad also, remember there is the important distinction. What are those two paths that are spoken of in the Kathopanishad? Anyone remember? There is a key word here in the third pada of this verse that should trigger that thinking.
Shreya.
Shreya. What is the other?
Preya.
Preya. That which is pleasing. Shreya versus Preya. Right? This is a difficult choice for us. Every instant, this choice is presented actually. What is good for us and what is pleasing, what is pleasant. So in this, Bhagavan says, when released from these three doors of darkness, Naraha, Acharati, he does, Atmanaha Shreya, that which is good for his own self. Right? Shreya is that which is in one's own true interest, and thus attains the supreme goal, proceeds, Yati Paramgati. It's very straightforward. Blocked by them before, he could not do so. Now that they are no more there, he can. So actually our natural instinct is to do what is good for us in the true sense. But because of blockages, in Yoga Sutra also it says like Kshetrika, like a farmer. The farmer, in order to irrigate the fields, he removes the blockages that let the water flow into the fields. So too, once the threefold blockages of Kama, Krodha, Lobha are removed, consciousness flows in its natural flow, which is to the beneficence and benevolence of that person and all living beings, right? The cause that brings about rejection of demoniac attributes and promotes action leading to the good is the Shastra. Sarvasya yetasya asri sampat parivarjanasya shreya acharanasya cha shastram karanam. Shastra pramanat ubhayam shakyam kartum. Due to the authority of Shastra, both may be accomplished. There is no other way, na anyatha. So Bhagavan here in his commentary is recommending the Shastra as the simplest way to move towards the good action and to stay away, rejection of the demoniac attributes. Asurim sampat parivarjanasya. He says this is the due to the authority of the Shastra, both may be accomplished, there is no other way. So 23, this leads us into 23.
यः शास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिमवाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिम्.
Very beautiful. Yaha, he who Shastra vidhim, the prescription of the Shastra, utsrujya, throwing up, giving up, rejecting, vartate, lives, kamakarataha, one that is driven by lust, desire. Nasa siddhim avapnoti, he does not attain perfection or fulfillment. Na sukham, nor pleasure or happiness. Na param gatim, or the supreme goal. The Shastra is the Veda. Yaha Shastra vidhi Shastram Vedaha. Rejecting its positive and negative ordinances. Tasya vidhim kartavya akartavya. Jnana karanam. It gives the way as what is to be done and what is not to be done. Vidhi pratishedhakyam utsrujya tyaktva vartate. Vidhi and pratisheda, that which is the correct way and the rejected the other way. Having given up, tyaktva vartate, he who lives kamakarta, kama prayukta san, lives according to the promptings of lust. Na sa siddhim purushartha yogyatam avapnoti. He does not achieve fulfillment of fitness for the goals of life. Na api asmin loke sukham, nor happiness in this world. Na api param prakrishtam, nor of course the supreme goal, either heaven, swargam, or emancipation. This is important. Swargam is actually given by the Veda. Veda points the way to heaven, right? It is only moving towards heaven and transcending it that one can attain emancipation, not any other way, right? So basically this is the last verse. Let us take this and the last verse together in the Bhavarth. 24, please.
तस्मात् शास्त्रं प्रमाणं ते कार्याकार्यव्यवस्थितौ ज्ञात्वा शास्त्रविधानोक्तं कर्म कर्तुम् इह अर्हसि.
Very nice. Tasmat, therefore, Shastram Pramanam, let Shastram be your proof, your guide. Te, in what sense? Karya Akarya Vyavastito, in regards to what should or should not be done. Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam, knowing the work prescribed by the Shastra. Karma, you ought to perform this work. Kartum, you must do this work. Iha, here. Arhasi, you must aspire to. Karma adhikara bhumi pradarshanartham iti arhasi. Kartu iha. So, therefore, Shastra should be your guide or means of acquiring valid knowledge. Pramanam is a way of acquiring valid knowledge. We say pratyaksha, anumana, agama in Yoga Sutra as pramanam. So this here is saying, let Shastra be a pramanam. It is an agama, right? There is no contradiction with the Yoga Sutra also. About what ought and ought not. Knowing Shastraic prescriptions, the commands and the prohibitions, do your work here reveals the field of duties to those called upon to perform. So, Bhagavan is pointing the way to how to do the work. So, Iti Sri Mahabharate Shatasahasryam Samhitayam Vaiyasikyam Bhishma Parvadi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Daiva Asara Sampad Vibhaga Yogo Nama Shodasho Adhyaya. Iti Srimad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Govinda Bhagavat Pujya Pada Shishya Srimad Shankara Bhagavata Kratau Srimad Bhagavad Gita Bhashye Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhaga Yogo Nama Shodasho Adhyaya. Commentary is also ended there. So that is chapter 16. Now, as we are contemplating this chapter and the next one, which is Saptadasho Adhyaya, Shraddha-traya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the threefold faith. Shraddha-traya Vibhaga Yoga. You see, it's worthwhile to reflect. What is our ultimate goal here, right? How to know this self, which is, you see, so far Bhagavan has given a very beautiful description. He says, avoid the threefold door of darkness, right? He's giving a clear, bright line prescription. But of course, this divine and demonic attributes, right? They are there in all human beings. Potential for both is there in all human beings, right? So, on the other hand, in the self, which is the power behind both, there is neither good nor evil. There is no duality in the self. True? You understand? There is no duality in the self. Even in Aditya Hridaya Stotram, we say, Daivasura Namaskritau. Both the Devas and the Asuras worship this power, because it is the power by which the Asura also gains its power. Right? Nevertheless, without aligning oneself with the Daiva Sampat, it is not possible to transcend it. That is the point. Human being is sitting in Bhuloka. It is the Daiva Sampat that will lift the human being up to Swargaloka. But having reached Swargaloka, right earlier on and all through we have seen in the Gita, Bhagavan is saying, don't just be satisfied with that. Move beyond that. But if we don't even reach that, then what is the question of moving beyond that? If one is moving downwards, then there is no question of reaching that. So what in this chapter he's saying, at least make effort to move in that direction. Right? Because our human life is not an easy life. Right? What do I mean by not an easy life? Because every instant the mind has two choices. Shreyaha, Preyaha. Right? It is not that we can say any day we wake up and this choice is not there. Right? So what is the difference? It is just that the habits, as we change the habits of the mind, one choice becomes easier. One choice becomes more natural. That's all, right? Does that make sense? This also gives us a compassion and non-judgmentalism towards ourselves and others. You see? Even as one embraces the virtuous path more and more, one becomes intensely conscious of the challenges that are there on the path and also forgiving of others, right? Does that make sense? We mustn't let the virtue feed the ego. Oh, I'm so virtuous, right? So, because then one gets trapped up to Swargalok. It is only by transcending that also that one sees that Yah pashyati sa pashyati. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any questions on this chapter, Adhyay, before we go forward?
Dr. Shankar, so when we say Swarga Loka, that means up to Satyam, right? Like Vo Bhuva Shubha Mahajana Tapa Satyam until the Brahma, is that considered Swarga or before also?
What do you think?
Collectively?
What do you think?
I'm thinking until Satyam probably. And then, so Satyam need to translate, right? Then,
No.
then go.
What have you learned? Recollect carefully with clear mind. Enumerate. Bhur is what is Bhulok?
Kulok is this lok.
Yes. What is Bhuvaha?
Bhuva is subtle, the Susupta. Pitri.
Okay, that's correct. The
Subha.
realm of the ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Suvaha. What is that?
Subha is Susupti or.
Well, you're confusing with the avasthas.
Okay.
Anyone? What is Suvaha?
Subha.
Swargalok.
Yeah.
Swargalok.
Swargalok. It is the abode of the gods, the land of senses,
Yes.
lords
I
of the
mixed up.
sense.
Sorry.
So you answered your
Yeah.
question. Right. Of course, these things, one, we read more and more and it becomes clear. Also through practice, right? It will become clear. Very good. So, any follow-on question? Any follow-on thoughts? So what I'm trying to say is, in any instant, right, what is this characteristic of the self?
Unchanging.
Unchanging. Thank you.
Unchanging, pure. Yeah.
Unchanging. So this is important to keep in mind, right? What are the lokas we are talking about? These are realms of perception. Where is perception originating?
Mind.
In mind.
The mind. What is the characteristic of the mind?
Outward. Going outward.
Referring back to the trend of thought, I'm trying to referring back to the, what is the trend of thought I'm drawing? Changing. Exactly. That's all that's important. In your life, if you ask only one question, you can ask two questions. One, they're both the same. And one is, who am I? Which is Ramana's question. Who is the true I? The other is it changing or is it not changing? If it is changing, na iti, it's not this. It's that simple. Okay. Now what happens? However, that question is not answered so easily. The mind even in seemingly very pious and good people, born in high family, themselves observant, I talk to them. They are not able to ask this question consistently and find the answer, experience the answer. Now, even after you experience the answer in one instant, that's not enough. You have to be established in the answer, right? So that is the purpose of this chapter. But this chapter is a stepping stone, right? What this chapter is saying is, if you want the mind to become so steady that it is able to constantly see the unchanging in the changing, right? First, it must be brought through the Shastra and other means to a place where it is having the Daiva Sampat, is predominating. Correct? And when that predominates, it says Swadhyaya, Tapa, Arjavam. These qualities indicate the presence of the Daiva Sampat. Attending satsang is a indication of Daiva Sampat, right? Does that make sense? And as that is deepened, then the mind is becoming fit. Correct? But again, the mystery is not a question of should I purify first and practice, or practice and purify. They're both simultaneous, right? By attending satsang, the Daivi Sampat is being strengthened. By practicing, right, the goal is being attained, moved towards. They're simultaneously happening, right? And yet, the truth is, nothing is happening. This is the riddle. Acha. Shall we proceed to next adhyay, since we have some time?
Dr. Shankar, I have one question.
Yes, Shiva.
So I'm guessing that like there are some overlaps between the sattvic qualities and the divine nature.
Mhm.
I mean,
Indeed.
can they? I mean, are they exactly the same, or how do they differ?
Very good question. Right. In fact, you will see that all these overlap exactly with the sattvic qualities, right?
Right. Yeah.
So very good point. Yes. And you see, Bhagavan has said earlier also, Traigunya Vishayaveda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Kshe. So rest in Sattva, he says. Right? So very, very on point. Excellent observation. Right.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
So Dr. Shankar, when we say, so Shastra should be your guide, right? When we move forward, so here it says Shastra should be our guide. So right now, in Kali Yuga, right? So some are feasible, some are not. So to judge, right, what is good for us and what is not good for us. So commonly, I would think that if this helped me towards, concentrating my mind towards this higher, stabilizing the mind and moving forward to realize the truth or not, right? So usually, loosely I would judge, okay, does this help in a long run, or, it blocked me, in a short run looks seemingly good, and in the long run, it might not lead to that. So, loosely I would say, but would that be the right approach, or,
This is a fantastic question. It is truly spoken from the experience of a householder. So, fantastic question. This is, in fact, the greatest riddle of our time. Right? Shastra, but in fact, it has been the riddle of all times. Although we think now it is special, This riddle was there right from the beginning of time itself, which is that we have a Shastra. To follow the Shastra, actually, first of all, there is not only one Shastra. Sometimes there can be certain aspects of the Shastra which even seem contradictory. Okay. And there are great sages and acharyas who have written on what is the right path to take here or there, if there is a contradiction, which one to follow, etc., etc. But let's even simplify and say there is a Shastra. Let's take a very simple thing, right? Some karya you have to do. Let us say it's a griha pravesham, or it's a purchasing a house, you're doing a puja. And let's say we even accept one Shastra is correct, there is no deviation here. There is a prescribed. Question is, are we able to do it to the letter? Correct? And the truth of the matter is that in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to do it to the letter. Right? You know what I'm saying? If you take anything, it is difficult to say this is perfect. Because if you think you have done it as you think to perfection, you may find there is one more person who is doing even more, following the Shastra even more carefully. So one can get this question, oh my God, maybe I am not. This is a very beautiful point you raised. So this requires some skill, right? And the skill is progress, not perfection, right? You do to the best of your ability, okay? If you can do, and you've noted this sliding scale I've given you, right? Let's take simple karya of Sandhya Vandana, Nitya Karma. It is technically supposed to be done trikala, 3 times a day. Pratah Sandhya, Madhyanikam, Sayam Sandhya, right? It is supposed to be done in the Uttama fashion when the stars are visible in the morning and the sun has not yet cleared the horizon, right? 48 minutes before mid sun, and then in the evening before the stars appear. Correct. How are we able to practically accomplish this every day? Even in that very simple Nitya Karma, perfection is very difficult. Not possible, in fact, in today's world. I'm being very honest with you, right? So I gave you sliding scale. First, you try, you keep this as a goal. Okay. To the extent possible, we try. And doing it ritually with the Panchapatra, everything in the correct, wearing Panchakacha, right? This is the Uttama way of doing it. Correct? Sometimes what if you do not have, suppose you do not have your Panchapatra with you, or the time gets moved a little bit, right? Or you are not able to do. So then I gave you a shortened version, right? What I call Sandhya Dhyanam, right? You can do Manasik Sandhya Vandanam, right? Even in an airport, you can do Sandhya Vandanam, right? What if the time gets moved this way or the other? The main point is to keep in the mind the objective, the lakshya. If you are, let us say you're in the middle of something which is unavoidable and the Sandhya time comes, what you tell the mind is, and the Lord, I should have done it at this time. At the earliest opportunity, I will return to it. I will make up for it. You know what I'm trying to say? You can do it as a prayaschitta. The next time you can do a little more japa, right? The main thing is to mark the time and not let it slip. Suppose you're not able to do one day once, it should not become a habit for the next day, right? The mind should tug back. Will there be slips? Absolutely, there will be. This is very important to realize. As a human being, nobody can be perfect. There will be slips. The point is to not fall and stay fallen. The person who gets up, look at the soldier on the battlefield, the one who gets up and fights again, that one wins, right? How many ever times he's beaten down, he stands up and fights again. That is the characteristic of the warrior we want to inculcate in ourselves. Not a defeatist characteristic, a realistic characteristic. I will do my best. Every day we wake up in the Sandhya, this is our feeling, Visha. I will do my best today. I will exert myself within reason to the maximum that is reasonable, right? And you will learn this reasonable limit only by practice, right? If you overexert yourself, what happens? What happens if you overexert yourself?
I mean, we feel frustrated and
Exactly. And you cannot sustain it. So the important thing is to aim for the level of practice that you can sustain every day. If one day I do 1.5 hours dhyanam, and in 6 days I don't do anything, it doesn't help. If I target realistically 20 minutes a day, and I can stick to it, then one day if I slip, I can mark it and rectify it, do the prayaschitta, and return to the saddle. Yes or no? So realism is important. Realism in planning itself, right? Plan the daily practice. First of all, you must have a daily practice. It's a nitya karma. Plan it such that it is possible to accomplish every day within reason. Say 80, 90% of the time, 99% of the time. And slowly, the more you practice that 99, 99.5, 99.7, 99.9, it becomes, right? That's the way, right? If you fall, immediately dust yourself off. Don't dwell on it, mark it, learn from it, and next time don't do that thing that will make you fall. Correct? And keep rising, keep rising, keep rising. If you keep rising, nothing can stop you. How does that sound as an answer?
Thank you.
It's
Very
doable,
helpful.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Practical approach.
Don't beat yourself up for not being perfectly following that Shastra, right? But at the same time, don't go easy on yourself for slipping from what is a reasonable target you set. So the day you do the Sankalpam, this is a reasonable target. You tell the mind, listen, this is not an unreasonable target. Within my day-to-day activities, I can do this much. I can do this every day of the year. I will do this that is a Sankalpam. I will do this every day of the year, right? When we, in the Yajur Upakarma, there is a choice. Do you want to have Ashta Uttara? You can do Sahasra or Shata. Ashtottara is 8 over exceeding 1000 or 100. If you choose 1000, you should do 1000. If you choose 100, you should do 100. Right? The Sankalpa has embedded in it a realism, a practical nature. Right? Of the two, is the one who does 108 lesser than the one who does 1008? Or rather, the one who does 108 is not lesser than the one who resolves to do 1008 is not able to do it. Right? There is a certain wisdom in saying I'll do 108 and doing it regularly. Or 32 every day. Whatever goal you set, that must be, constancy is more important than excess. Right? Okay, very good. Any other questions? Okay, are we prepared to take up next chapter? Okay,
yes.
let us see here. So, Saptadashodhyayah, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te iti Bhagavad Vakyat Labdha Prashna Bijaha Arjunaha Uvacha. Seizing from the Lord's expression, let the Shastra be your guide, a point that prompts a query. Arjuna Uvacha, number 1, please.
अर्जुन उवाच ये शास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्वितः तेषां निष्ठा तु का कृष्ण सत्त्वमाहो रजस्तमः.
This is actually prompting your kind of question, Mahesh. So, O Krishna, ye, those ones, Shastra Vidhim, the way of the Shastras, Utsrujya, giving up, Yajante, who do sacrifice, Yagya, Shraddha Yanvitaha, but yet with faith, Tesham, of their Nishtha, what is their status? Tukka, Krishna, is it Sattva or is it Rajas or Tamas? The discussion is general about whosoever ignores Shastric injunctions, prescriptions of Shruti and Smriti, and yet offers sacrifice, worships gods, etc., faithfully, conforming to current traditions. The people meant are those who are unaware of injunctions in Shruti and Smriti, and yet, due to faith in the practices of their elders, worship deities, and not those who, despite their awareness of scriptural injunctions, choose to ignore them and worship deities in their own way. This is Ajnana Kritam. Through lack of knowledge, not doing. This is what is intended by these people. So, why? Because of the qualification with faith. It is impossible to assume that persons with faith can address themselves to worship while ignoring scriptural injunctions in regard to the method of such worship. Right? If you are doing it with true devotion, right, then you will naturally start hewing to the Shastric injunctions. Correct? But suppose we were unaware, which can happen, right? The way, there are many aspects of the way which are not always clear or revealed to everyone, and by doing unaware. So, to what category does their worship belong? So, number 2, please. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. This is such an exciting question. We don't want to wait too long before the answer.
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa svabhavaja sattviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu.
This is a very powerful verse. Trividha, threefold, bhavati is Shraddha, the faith, Dehinam, of the embodied ones, Sa, that one, Swabhavaja, it is born of their own nature. Here it is said according to their bygone impressions, Satviki, Rajasi, Cha Eva Tamasi, Satvik, Rajasic and Tamasic, Cheti Tam Shrunu. They are, listen now to the classification. Faith is threefold, of three kinds. Regarding the discipline pertaining to which you have raised this question, it is inherent in human beings. Impressions, janma antara krita dharmadi samskaraha maranakale abhivyaktaha swabhavaha uchyate. Impressions are the resultants of acts, righteous, etc., done in previous lives. It becomes manifest at the time of death. Faith is born of these resultants. Does this mean that it is unfailing? No. That's the whole point of living in the karma plane, is that one can, through every day's action, alter the proportion of the gunas, right, in this life. Sattvic is the faith fashioned by sattva and devoted to the worship of gods and so forth. Deva pujadi vishaya, those who are worshipping Krishna, Ganesha, this is sattviki. Rajasi rajo nirvritta yaksha raksha pujadi vishaya. Rajasic is the faith fashioned by Rajas, its object being the worship of superhuman beings like yakshas and monsters, etc. Rakshasas, yakshas. Tamasic faith is fashioned by Tamas and directed to the worship of ancestral spirits. Tamasi tamor nivritta preta pishachadi pujadi vishaya. The departed and the pishachas, ghosts. Okay. So, sa iyam trividha bhavati. This faith is threefold. So, let us read number 3.
Sattvanurupa sarvasya shraddha bhavati bharata shraddha mayoyam purusho yoyat shraddha sa eva saha.
Beautiful. This third and fourth pada of this verse are the most powerful indications of human personality. Shraddhamayo ayam purusho yoyat shraddha sa eva saha. If you want to analyze anybody, you understand this verse, you will understand it. This is the most powerful verse. in the case of all men, sarvasya shraddha bhavati sattva anurupa. In the case of all men, faith conforms Arjuna to their inner sense. Sattva anurupa iti. Sattva anurupa vishishta samskara samskaropetantaha karananurupa sarvasya pranijatasya shraddha bhavati bharata. In the case of all men, faith conforms Arjuna to their inner sense. The second, third, and fourth padas. Man consists of his faith. He is what his faith makes of him. Shraddhamayo ayam purusha. A man consists of his faith. Yo yat shraddha sayev. Whatever is faith, that is what the man is. The faith in all living beings, O Arjuna, is shaped by the mind according to their specialized impressions. It is endowed with. So what here? Man here in this transmigratory life is largely driven by his faith. How? The nature of his faith shapes him according to itself. Therefore, based on the effect of the worship he offers to gods, etc., may be inferred his devotion to sattva and the rest. Again and again, you will see this in life. You take any human being, you examine what their faith is, and they are made by their faith. So, next one, number 4.
Yajante satvika devan yaksharatsanshi rajasaha pretan bhutaganas tanye yajante tamasa janaha.
This is echoing the commentary in the number 2 verse. Yajante satvika devan. Satvikaha, the sattvic ones, worship the gods, the lords of the senses, and the other gods. Yaksha rakshansi. Yakshas and rakshasas are worshipped by the rajasas. Pretan bhutaganan, the departed ones and the elemental spirits. Cha anye yajante tamasajana. Yajante pujayanti satvikaha sattvanishtaha devan yaksharaksanchi raja pretan bhutaganaseva saptamatrika adinscha anye yajante tamasaha janaha. Others, the people of tamasic temperament, sacrifice to ancestral spirits, hosts of ghosts, the 7 mothers, etc. Even today you can see this, in certain things. There is all this Day of the Dead, and kind of Dia de las Muertas, etc. Some little obsession. Halloween. Okay. Halloween is a tamasic activity, if you think about it. Right. And what is its result? Scaring the kids, eating lots of candy. Yeah, I mean, people follow it, I know. But actually, if you see culturally, it's not very uplifting. This is a sad thing, right? I mean, whatever, you can do that, but if you look by the threefold classification, it is not very uplifting, right? It takes the mind into darker and unnecessary places, right? So, any questions on this?
Dr. Shankar, question came to me, like, so when we, in our culture, when there is a Pitri Paksha, right?
Right.
So the Pitri Paksha whole 16 days we remember and do the Shraddha. So
Right.
those are not the tamasic.
No, they're not.
Right? So
They're not. That's a good question. So there is a difference between Preta and Pitra. Okay. The Preta is the departed one. When we do the Antyeshti Samskar, that Preta is converted into a Pitra. The spirit of the departed one, in traditional thinking, takes 1 year to reach the Pitrulok. By performing the 13-day ceremony after the departure, that Preta is assisted and joined into the Loka of the Pitras. In the Pitra Loka, we have 3 levels: Vasu, Rudra, Aditya. So you make the connection between the departed and the divine. You see, when that Preta is purified through the process of moving from Bhuloka to Pitruloka, assisted by various practices, there is a very elaborate 13 days ritual. There is a Pitrumeda Samskara, Nagna Prachadana Samskara, right? The Preta is clothed in something. Vasodakam, Tilodakam, right? Water is given. Til is given, right? The Preta that is tortured by the Agni, right, is protected, clothed, fed, given various balis. And then finally, in the Sapindikaranam ceremony, it is joined up with the other Pitras. And then it takes on the aspect of Vasu in that Pitra classification. So through this process, the mind itself gets purified. And then when the worship of the Pitras is done with true Shraddha, it is not the worship of an elemental or a Preta. It's a worship of God in the form of Vasu having come down to earth. Do you see what I'm saying? So Shraddha Paksha is very appropriate. Those worship. It's after all recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. Okay. See the distinction. So, very good. So maybe what we will do is we will come back to verse 5 onwards next time.
Yes.
Any questions in the remaining some minutes about the verses we covered today? There's a good question, Mahesh. Yeah.
And also I remember, Professor, in the past, or when we had discussion about this, I think you also mentioned, like, I mean, instead of trying, or instead of being sad for why they are gone, we can remember them on this Pitru Pakshas and like the spiritual efforts that they were doing, or like gain the good from them too.
Exactly. That is a sattvic way of absorbing the best parts of the Pitru Puja. And you're right, the state of the mind when you do the puja is very important. It is not fearful of the wrath.
Yes.
The tamasic approach is to fear the wrath of the Pitras. Undoubtedly, they have power, right? There is no doubt about it. Right? But what is that power? That power is their thoughts, right? You see, we talk about, I think I've mentioned this before, transgenerational trauma, or what we call Purva Janma Mahapap. If, let us say that somebody in our ancestral line was cruel in some way, or ignorant, cruelty out of ignorance, not out of anything else, right? If we perpetuate that same mistake in this generation, right? Will you say that, do you agree with everything that your ancestors have done? No. Do you think all those actions were useful? Or attitudes? No. Okay. Did they do some things that were good and spiritual? Yes. So can we take what is good and spiritual and keep that? Right?
Yes.
Build on that energy. Can we leave aside those practices that we thought were not useful without anger, without resentment? We can. Can we bring up our children in a more kind and inspired way that teaches them the truth? And we can, right? So that is, you are then effectively burning that transgenerational trauma, that Purva Janma Mahapap. This is what Bhagirath did. What is the great accomplishment of Bhagirath? What did he do? You know? Who is called Bhagirathi? Hmm?
Trying to remember the story, Professor. I don't
Yeah, good,
remember.
good. Try, remember.
The one who brought Ganga River.
Very good, Archit. So, Bhagirath, he's
But that to satisfy his pitru or all the wrath that has happened to his ancestors, right?
correct. Sagara, and the story connected to the story of Sagara, right? And Kapila, who burnt their ancestors with a gaze, and they were suffering. So Bhagirath went and he brought down Ganga, and then Ganga cleansed the whole earth. What is this Ganga bringing down? It is when you do your sadhana, you awaken Shakti, you pierce the Rudra Granthi, you pierce the Vishnu Granthi, you pierce the Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, Rudra Granthi, you reach the Sahasrara and you bring down the Shakti through the Lalata Chakra, dripping with Soma, and enjoy it. That is going to cleanse all that transgenerational trauma. It is going to cleanse those Purva Janma Mahapaps. That's what Bhagirath did. Where is this Ganga? Is it flowing in some latitude and longitude in India where the dead bodies are floating? Unfortunately, too many of them now. Where is it? It's inside you. And yet it is also in the real world. And there was a time when the Ganga was so pure that if you took a bath in it, it was both physically purifying and spiritually purifying. Now, the notion of taking the bath in the Ganga is still spiritually purifying. There's no doubt about it. But physically, we have destroyed it. And we must make efforts to cleanse it, undoubtedly, by controlling. But it requires cooperation of many people with sattvic intent and restraint. Until that happens, you will probably contract some disease if you jump in the Ganga in the wrong place. There's no doubt about that. Right? Does that mean the Shastras are wrong? No, not at all. Ganga is a very pure river. But Kali Yuga, we have defiled it, the physical river. So now we have only choice is to first bring down the spiritual Ganga within you. Then all rivers you will keep clean. Whether it is Des Moines River or Squaw Creek, you will be environmentally conscious. You will not dirty any river, right? Yes or no? If there was not so much greed, there was not so much overpopulation, there was not so much pollution, right? Could not man live within his means? Like Gandhi said, the world has enough for the man's needs, but not for his greed, right? So that is the point. Okay. Very good. Okay, so some interesting reflection on Bhagirath. Okay, I'll say Shanti Mantram. You all have a lovely weekend. See you in a week. Huh? Om Tacham Jora Vrinimahe Gatum Yajnayam Gatum Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastunaham Swastirmanushebhyaham Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astu Dvipadehe Sham Chatushpade Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste everyone. See you in a week. Very enjoyable. Namaskar.